Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we are continuing on in the third case of the game, The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Alright, so what should we make of that last statement of hers? I'm gonna say that it's profoundly important.
My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important part, or point. I'm almost sure of it.
Okay, where are we going with this, though?
I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please.
What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me.
That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move.
I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. Let's press on this.
Hold it! So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time? Since the moment you hid yourself?
Not exactly, no.
Sorry?
Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and out of the butchers to see what was what. Why do they always say butchers? Like have a look? I don't know why they say butchers. That's strange to me. But then, when I saw this swell getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me.
And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct?
Yeah! Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug! What about Adam and Eve? So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though he stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was.
Rude. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder?
Yeah, what I'm thinking now... So if she was the first person on, and she said she only heard when McGilded got on and then started snoring, then what about the dead guy? When did he get on board?
Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely.
It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared.
So Van Zeeks realized it too.
What does it mean?
Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard.
I'm gonna show a person.
Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Thrice-fired Mason.
Take that!
Thrice-fired Mason.
I've kept forgetting that was his name, honestly.
Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus.
He's doing the dramatic point.
Order, order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct?
Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I?
And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded?
But it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight.
So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time.
Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure.
And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't I? Weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage?
Interesting.
Ugh. We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts.
Yes, this petty thief statement was clearly flawed.
Lord von Zeeks.
You're gonna do your dramatic heel thing again. Oh, I still can't believe he does that.
Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement.
It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend.
What are you talking about?
You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Is that right? How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl's a pickpocket, let's not forget that.
Ugh. She didn't even say anything.
I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I.
Mr. Foreman.
I didn't want to judge the girl just because she had some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Oh snap. Back to this again. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. This is bull. We keep going back and forth a lot in this trial. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. to the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing.
Ah!
Yeah. What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? What is that? You useless Eastern Amadan. Oh god, this man. Stop! Here we go again. This is carnage, it's perfect.
Juror number 2 is the only one left.
Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going.
I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGildett's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost.
I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case.
There we go. What are you saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean?
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once.
When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand.
And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage.
If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There is another entrance, and because this is an Ace Attorney game, I'm gonna say, honestly, there were some times that I was wondering about it, and that's the skylight, right? That panel at the top of the omnibus. So they said that we can't open it from, was it from the inside? You can't open it, or was it from the outside you can't open it? I don't know. I can't remember. But I kind of feel like maybe he came in through the top of the bus then. But then what the heck? We'll see.
There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage.
There's another entrance.
If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. Yet behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other only has windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to that cabin other than the door.
Objection!
Yeah, fight back.
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered.
Oh, really?
Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin.
Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim enter the cabin? I just don't remember the way that it can be opened. But it's here.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight.
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However...
Objection!
Cut him off, yeah!
The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? No.
Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor.
Yes, that explains a lot.
Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
There we go.
Objection!
But how? Did Beppo kill him and then dump him through there? You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. Let me look at the court record really quick. Autopsy, internal hemorrhaging. It didn't mention anything else? Resulting from the trauma. No, it didn't mention any bruises or anything. Darn. Yeah, I don't think if there's anything else. That's simply impossible.
How can you be so sure?
Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony.
Well, yes, that's true, but...
Oh, hold it. Might a humble fella make a wee comment here?
Mr. McGilded.
To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say.
What?
I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? He's slick, I tell ya. He knows how to appeal to people.
Ugh. Oh my goodness, surely not.
Those two chops on the roof. You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were...
Ah!
Someone says hold it. Oh, they're back. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? Oh! He looks weird! Ah! Why does it sound like he's riding a horse? Oh my god! That shouldn't even be possible, sir. What the hell? The way they animate these people sometimes is just the weirdest thing. Yeah, just stick your butt up. You rotter, he said. You rotter. What are you insinuating?
This is a flaming outrage. I've a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I.
Mr. Fairplay. You're effectively accusing me, a considered gentleman and well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts, it's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's, ugh.
Oh, there he goes, back to that.
I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. It looks so weird. So Gina got pushed to the side, I see.
Order, order, order! This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. Ugh, it's outrageous.
Stop it. It's very hurtful, you know.
My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Von Zeeks. This trial's already crazy as hell. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British court of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought.
What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify.
I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow.
That's for sure. The fact that it doesn't fit him at all, right?
We have to see this matter through now, one way or another.
If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Oh boy. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo?
The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
They look nervous.
I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keeping pushing forward.
I think it's just keep pushing forward, but okay. Alright, let's see. Refuting the accusation.
We were the only two people up on that roof deck, dead or alive. I can swear to that.
If anything had happened when we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed?
In any case, neither of us knew the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it.
If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
Okay.
I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine how either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the other noticing forthwith.
That's right, you see.
We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another. Ah.
What?
Eh?
According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses shared no common dealings.
Huh. Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich.
Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy?
There's just too many twists and turns. Like, I feel like there's some lying going on a lot. And also the fact that, underneath the seats is empty all of a sudden, and there was that pool of blood all of a sudden. Those weren't there earlier, you know? So something's definitely going on. Some forgery, some lying, some tricks.
Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please.
Oh, yes, my lord.
Alright. Time to do some pressing. Need two up there.
Hold it!
So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck?
Absolutely not, Dickon.
No question about it, he said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here.
Is this true, Mr. McGilded?
Dear me, my lord. At the risk of repeating one myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately. That's an outright lie. Without doubt you were engaged in. Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all, Tis all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. You do well to remember that.
I don't know, I just don't like Mr. McGilded. I feel like he's shady as hell.
I saw you with my own eyes.
This is going so well.
Okay.
Hold it!
Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly.
Is this some kind of a lark?
Is this some kind of a joke, he said? Is that what this is?
Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly?
Are you fair dinkum, sir?
Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you.
I'll give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you never opened them again.
That's, extreme.
It was extreme, I tell you. And we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked.
I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and I didn't hear you at all.
That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone.
Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising.
Seeing things? Seeing things?
I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point.
You! Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really. Neither of us know the first thing about the victim.
Hold it!
Is that true, though?
So you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before?
Oh, long no. Not once, never. He'd never met the man before, he said. Never.
And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either?
That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir.
No, I imagine not.
You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
Oh, really now? What's going on here?
Excuse me.
Mr. McGilded,
I mean, we already know that Fairplay owes McGilded money, so...
Yes, counsel. What can I be doing you for?
did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow?
Not the remotest connection. Is that what now, I wonder? What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay, it has been too long, so it has. If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not? Your repayment date. I beg your pardon. You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir.
At an unconscionable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion.
Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off on another? And young Mr. First. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat sliding about on your head? Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, 'tis a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as Thrice-Fired Mason. Ah! There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence afore, my lord.
He's slick. I was wondering when we were gonna talk about the hat, right? Covering his face and all that.
Yeah, yes, this, you mean.
Yeah.
I can't help thinking that the poor fella's hat looks, distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh! That's one of my hats. Right, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'd wager, you could have had a good wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh, no, sir, absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add.
He's slick. He really is.
It won't be right to say that the two fellows here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case.
Damn, he's slick.
You little weasel.
Ugh.
He's better at this than I am.
He's a shady lawyer type, alright. Gosh, Mr. McGildet has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he?
Please don't let me interrupt.
What? Little interruption? Oh, got it. I got a achievement for Hat Hunter, apparently.
Please don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings. The skylight was shut the entire time. You couldn't have opened it.
Hold
Okay.
it!
Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time?
I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute.
He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now, just like it was on the night. So it is, of course. A fellow the size of Mr. Mason could likely break right through it, still and all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand? Ugh, now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we?
Let's stop biting our cane, shall we?
I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind, loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens.
Okay. This, is an unexpected confession, Mr. First.
Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see? But just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as rogue, I did. Or rouge, probably.
Are you expecting me to sentence you?
Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside that cabin of shame. Oh? What's going on?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade?
Keep playing with your coin, huh?
Miss Lestrade!
It opens.
Huh?
The skylight. This is what we were talking about, right? Oh no. All them skylights open, dead easy.
More easily than you can load that weapon?
That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, I... You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh! Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had great haul. I had bursts coming out me ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's burst, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't up off the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch and jumped right through.
What?
Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. Kind of weird, but whatever.
The skylight opens from the roof deck? Bailiff! Climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once and verify this witness's claims.
Oh. Ugh! Oh, my hat! See? Interesting. I like her music, it's so weird.
Order, order, order! So, it appears that this street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, this could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Though you'll have to be doing that in the next episode.
Alright. Ooh, my throat hurts. Alright, thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And until next time, have a nice day. Bye-bye.